Demolition.
What you're doing in your bathroom right now?
Yes, that's in fact exactly what's happening.
Because
Isn't that weird timing?
Look, I'm
Weird
just going to make up a story real quick. I went in there,
Uh-huh.
Andrew, and there's nothing in there but a toilet.
Yeah. That's normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're in Japan, so
I
there's
saw
just a
this
hole in the
movie
ground.
and I got really inspired. It's just like...
that does make sense, actually.
No, Demolition, it's directed by Jean-Marc Vallée,
Mm-hmm.
who... he was the one who did My Dallas Buyers Club. That's the full title, right?
Yeah, My Dallas Buyers Club by him.
I'm not doing good with titles today. Why is it not? Come on.
What are you looking for?
I clicked on Jean-Marc Vallée, and IMDb was like, "No, we're not going to show you his filmography until you click again."
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Oh, he did Wild as well.
Yes.
I super forgot about that.
When I heard people talking about this movie, they're like, "Oh, it's the male version of Wild."
No, it's not though.
I know.
It's super not.
But someone wanted to be reductive.
Oh, and the Young Victoria. Oh, it's something called Crazy. That sounds great. The Secret Adventures of Jules Verne, a TV show. I love that. I love all of this.
Oh man, look at this guy! I've never seen a picture of the director before. He's got a little
Right?
faux hawk.
I wasn't super big on Dallas Buyers Club. I loved Wild. Let's see how Demolition fares.
Yeah.
Starring Jake Gyllenhaal,
Mhm.
Naomi Watts, Chris Cooper. The kid was Judah Lewis, newcomer.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he did good.
Hmm. He did great,
Yeah.
I think. I think he was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The film is, this is right. I mean, it's in the trailer. And I think the trailer actually is really good for this film.
Yes.
That's what I'm. There's something about the way that it captures exactly what happens, the setup at least.
Mhm.
But in this, like similar beats but faster.
Yeah.
The trailer gets to these moments way quicker because the trailer has voiceover from Jake Gyllenhaal because he's writing a letter,
Mhm.
and in the movie those letters are actually really important.
Yes.
They're not like a dumb, lazy device.
Uh-huh.
They actually matter. And I feel like that's super interesting. But it's a man whose wife has died in a car crash, very tragically. And he survived with no... He looks like he got
without,
not a
he's
scratch.
got maybe a minor bruise
Mhm.
from like the...
Airbag or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
airbag or seatbelt or something. But he looks relatively unscathed.
Yeah. And so his wife dies and that changes his whole life.
Yeah.
His boss is actually also his father-in-law.
Right.
Which that's kind of a crazy...
Complicated.
Yeah, crazy complicated thing. And after his wife... I mean, honestly, the film is really about his... the way that he reacts to it. Which
Yeah.
is to say that he has no emotional reaction at all.
He has a weird detached numbness.
Yeah.
And we find out over the course of the movie, like he goes to the doctor
Yeah.
and he's like, I've just got this numb feeling. And the doctor's like, where? And he's like, just basically all over.
Yeah.
And then he says, for how long? And he
Yeah.
goes, 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Like he's been numb, which is the reason why he has this reaction. And it's
we
about
only
how he
get-
deals with it.
We only get a brief few minutes of before the accident happens to understand their relationship
And we get
how
more
he is before.
Yeah, we get more of those later.
Yeah, there's some flashbacks. I think the flashbacks are not like fully fleshed out. They're more moments.
Yeah.
Which fits super well.
Really
There's
well.
really something to it.
I love the editing in this film.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
Perfect.
Incredible.
Yeah. And of course, Jake Gyllenhaal is such a good actor.
Really good.
I can't even imagine. He's so good, and it's crazy to me when I was talking with Benson about his career, and if you look at his listings, he's got, you go back like 6 movies and they're great, and then in the middle of a couple of great movies is Prince of Persia,
Which
And-
I would argue he actually did the best he could with what he had.
but the silly thing is like he's so miscast in the first place,
Yeah.
and it's an action film, and I don't think he's done an action film since or after, like
There's
before.
a reason for that, yeah.
And it's so crazy
'Cause
that
even his
he
action films are
recovered
dramas.
so quick from that.
Yep.
Like it didn't hurt him at all,
Mhm.
and he just went on to make even more better films. It's crazy to me
Yeah.
that he's such a good actor.
Well, he was in The Day After Tomorrow.
Which
It's kind of an action film.
His part isn't very action
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
He's
just
just Bubble Boy.
It's wild to me. And he does comedies, he does dramas.
Yeah, he's really funny.
he does weird stuff. He does normal stuff.
Yeah, Donnie Darko was one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, and
Yeah.
I had never even heard of him before that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what he's in City. Is he the kid in City Slickers?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Yes. You just, and I mean, if you look back at the last couple of years, Prisoners, Source Code,
yes. Source Code is one of the most underrated films.
Nightcrawler,
Yeah.
which is one of my notes, is that he's entered kind of a creep period.
He was amazing in End of Watch. Do you ever see End of
Yeah.
Watch?
Mhm.
That was a really good movie.
Mhm.
But
But, I
Southpaw.
mean,
I still
you-
haven't seen Southpaw.
You look at like Nightcrawler and what was another one that I was? What was this? Oh, Prisoners. He's kind of a creep in. He's a good creep,
Yeah,
but he's kind of a creep.
Really interesting in that, and he was really good in Zodiac.
But I think
and
some
Jarhead.
people will watch this movie and they'll see this character and go, "Oh, what a bad person," because his emotional reaction to his wife dying is nothing.
Yeah.
But I think this is actually really striking at an interesting reality of tragedy, where especially since you look at his mother and father-in-law, his own parents, none of them actually say, none of them ask
how he's doing.
or even, notice that he is so emotionally distant,
Yeah.
or even comment on it or be concerned about it until way later in the film, when it's an angry outburst
Yeah.
about how he's acting. And I think that's probably the most interesting, and because it's so understated. And then the big plot of the film comes from his letters to this vending machine company, develops into this woman calls him, and
in the middle of the night. Their first
this woman-
call is at 2 a.m.
2 a.m. and he's just dismantled his fridge in a fit of whatever he's going through.
Yeah.
And she calls him at 2 a.m. and this stranger, who all she knows is through the letters that he's written to this company to try and get a refund or whatever, she's the one who says, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, it becomes clear over the movie that he wasn't that connected to his ex-wife.
Well, would you call that ex-wife?
I mean, he's a widower. I don't know.
know how I'd call that.
Yeah, there's not. I don't know. His wife who passed away, and he doesn't have a good enough connection to his father-in-law, who at one point says, "I don't like you."
Yeah.
Like, it's made clear that he's got a weird relationship with him. His parents, it's pretty clear that he hasn't talked to or seen in a while. And because of his numbness in his life before the accident, it carries over into that. And he takes a conversation, which we only get snippets of, with his father-in-law about how with matters of the heart, you gotta take everything apart. And that begins his crusade of dismantling his life to find out why he has this numb reaction to everything, why he isn't grieving. Like, he's aware of it. And the only person he opens up to is not a person, it's these letters.
Yeah.
It's the only place he can say how he feels. So by like the fourth letter, that's when she calls him. And because she is so affected by what he's written, and she's so sad, that they establish this connection that he doesn't have with anybody else in his life. And it's this weird friendship that you could tell could be romantic, but it never really goes there.
No.
It's just they
I think
establish
that's very
this
important.
connection.
It is a
Because
it's
everyone
just a
else,
weird friendship.
Everyone else thinks
Is very assuming.
they're romantically involved.
Yeah.
Everybody. And it's clear that they're not. They're just like two people in
Like,
life.
kind of adrift.
Yeah, that are both in these weird places because she's got stuff going on in her life, and they just connect.
Yeah.
And they're there for each other.
Yeah. It's there's a lot. There's a lot in this film that is very non-traditional.
Yeah.
It's very, saying things that aren't said, or examining things that aren't examined. Because I think it's also, I think people can look at this film and see, oh, great, another rich white guy is upset with the way that his life has turned out, and so he has a breakdown.
Yeah.
I think there's something more, though.
Yeah,
I think it is that, but then there's also a layer beneath that, or above, however you want to say it, where they're examining that. Yeah, that's true, but also we as the audience are aware of that.
Yeah, it's almost a critique of that because at one point, Naomi Watts' character is asking like, "Well, why did you marry her?"
Yeah.
And he says because it was easy.
Because it was easy. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why he feels guilty.
Yeah.
Why he's dismantling his life, because he realized he's gotten to a place and he didn't really get there because of wanting to get there. He just got there.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's very clear. I mean, he says to another character, "I cheated my way through the last year of school."
School, yeah.
And it's also very clear that he only got that job at that business because his father-in-law owns it or is the highest whatever.
And he says at work, he doesn't really do anything. He just takes credit for the people who work under him.
Yeah.
And he's where he's at in life because of easy decisions that he was given.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why he never would have looked at his life until then. And that's one of the reasons he's numb, is because he's just kind of set in, the current that life was taking him on. And that led to his wife dying. I don't know. Yeah. And I've people were talking about this movie and they said that Jake Gyllenhaal is like a jerk to everybody. And I don't feel like that's true. I don't feel like he's a jerk. I feel like he's just non-responsive. He is numb. He is other people. That's an interesting point in this film, is everyone else is dealing with this loss.
Yeah.
His parents-in-law, his own parents, some of his friends at work, they're all dealing with this tragedy in their own way. And they're taken aback by the fact that he doesn't seem to be dealing with it.
Yeah.
That he is numb. And because of that, it strains his relationships with these people. But I never felt like he was being a jerk to people. I just felt like his numbness and his detachedness, the fact that he wasn't paying attention, which is brought up in the film. For a while there after the tragedy, he still doesn't pay attention because he is preoccupied with the other stuff, with the loss and figuring that stuff out. And then he starts to pay attention. I feel like he does change over the course of the film. And even though he doesn't like drastically change who he is as a human being or whatever, he does go through this journey. And it's very unorthodox. It's very different. And I don't feel like he was ever like a jerk to people. I feel like he was just honest for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes honesty is painful, but I think it should be sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah. So I like this film.
I really enjoyed this film. I really liked it. I thought the editing was amazing. I thought visually it was incredible. The set design was beautiful. I thought everybody was perfectly cast. The kid was amazing. I mean, that was a make or break role. If you had a bad actor in that role, that would not have resonated. His friendship that he has with his friend's son would not have been as emotionally resonant and resonant. I don't know. I can't think of a bad thing to say about this film.
I don't know. The with the kid, I think it's really funny. So the woman that Jake Gyllenhaal's character meets, she has a son. It's never, I don't think it's supposed to be the son of the man that she's with.
No.
And we never really get the idea of what happened to the father.
Yeah.
But this boy, she says, he's 15, he looks like he's 12, he acts like he's 21. And that, to me, sounds like exactly like a thing that's written in a screenplay. Like when you introduce a character in a screenplay, you have that little thing next to it, like that describes them. And yet somehow by saying it, it still works when you see him and it's like, oh yeah, that's this kid. That's
100% who he is.
Exactly who this kid is.
And it makes sense because after she says that, she's like, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And when you see the way this child acts, you're like, yeah, he is that to a T. Like, it is perfectly cast. The way he acts in that role is it's true to the character. It's really good.
I don't know what else to say besides good.
It's good. And the fact that it wasn't on the top 10 list sucks. Like,
oh, yeah. I didn't even notice.
It wasn't on the top 10. I haven't really, aside from seeing trailers in when I go to the theater, I haven't seen a lot of promotion for it. And I feel like this is going to be one of those smaller Jake Gyllenhaal films that is not, not a lot of people see, but I feel like those who do would probably enjoy it because it is another fantastic performance. Like everyone in it is really good. Like his father-in-law, Chris Cooper, man, you can feel how much the death is affecting him. And their scenes together, just the contrast between these two men and how they're dealing with it is so striking. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, so I think we both recommend it.
Yes, definitely.
We will get to a lot more in the discussion at the end of the show.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about that is kind of intrinsic to the plot, and there's some subplots in there that are interesting that they're a part of this film. Like they didn't have to be in there at all. But yeah, let's talk about it later for sure.